We have seen so many miracles with Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast in 2019. We started with the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast in San Antonio.
Yes, give him a great hand. This is a bold man that wasn't afraid to work with the Christians and to say, why not? Let them come and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Shalom San Antonio. Shalom San Antonio. Oh.
It was a powerful event. 600 Christians gathered. The Jewish community was there. Rabbi Aryeh Scheinberg blessed us, and we were having 3 congressmen. We had a delegation from the Knesset, different Israeli delegates that came. It was a powerful thing. In 2019, we were also invited by the First Lady of Uganda, Janet Museveni, to Kampala for the first Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast in Uganda. It was a powerful event. We had more than 1,000 people that came. The Prime Minister came to the dinner. Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast itself was hosted by the First Lady.
As Christian believers, we have a special and unique relationship with Israel because of our faith in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but most of all, because of the head of our church, who is Jesus Christ.
And then we were invited to the president's residence in the north of the country. So the president sent his helicopter to pick us up. As we were gathered under a mango tree with the president, our ambassador and our chairman, Robert Ilatov, thanked the president for his decision to open the embassy in Jerusalem. The president looked at us and said, "Did I say Jerusalem?" Now, this was our impression that we had from the First Lady, from the prayer breakfast, that the decision was made to open the embassy in Jerusalem. But the president said, no, I meant Tel Aviv. I'm not able to pick up such a controversial thing. I'm for the African unity. And as he was saying this, a big mango hit the ground, almost hitting one of the advisors on the head. And I said, "Mr. President, if Isaac Newton would have been with us here, he would have recognized that there is a law of gravity in function." And I said, "This is a message from above. Mr. President, there is a law of blessing and curse in action right now. He who blesses Abraham's seed will be blessed. He who curses will be cursed." And suddenly the president changed his mind. He looked at us and said, "But wasn't the Western Jerusalem in the Jewish hands before the Six-Day War?" Our delegation said, "Of course." And the president said, "Well, maybe it's not so controversial. Maybe we can actually look into this. We have to research this." So we sent him all the materials with the biblical data, the Bible verses, the historical data, and all of the information that he needs to make the decision. We're believing that Uganda will move and open the embassy in Jerusalem in 2020. In June, we had the 3rd Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast attended by 700 people from 65 nations.
Welcome to Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast.
And when we read there in that chapter 40 of Isaiah, in verse 9, we see that God says, "Go up to the mountain and look at the beauty of Jerusalem, and this is what can bring comfort."
I rejoiced when they said to me, "Let us go unto the house of the Lord." Omdot hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim. Our feet are standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim, yushlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper.
Right after that, in the end of June, we had the first Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast in Holland, in The Hague, started in the Ridderzaal, the Knights' Hall. That's the place where only the king addresses the nation once a year. It's part of the parliament, and we had the privilege to gather there. And usually only the king enters through the front door. We all had to come into the hall from downstairs, and our organizer, he proclaimed a word from Isaiah 40 saying that the Jewish people is robbed and nobody says give back.
Ladies and gentlemen, today it's time to repent in this place where symbolically the terrible suffering began, where the stealing of possessions began, where the stealing of dignity began, where the stealing of lives began. We speak the words of the prophet Isaiah, give back. Give back.
But because it was such a hot day and people started to complain, so that they had to open the front door. Did the king come in? It seemed like the King of Universe came in, because on that very day, as the parliament members and the cabinet secretary were with us, they decided that the Netherlands Rail, that for decades had refused to pay compensation to the Holocaust survivors, in spite of the fact that they had cooperated with the Nazi regime, on that day that the doors were opened, they made a decision that they will pay tens of millions of euros to the Holocaust survivors and their descendants in Holland. The first Jerusalem prayer breakfast in the Nordic countries happens in Helsinki, Finland. We had gathered in the Finnish parliament, and many parliament members came to express their support.
Huomenta!
We had parliament members and delegates from Sweden, from Norway, from Estonia.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Shalom, Ya Boker Tov.
Israel's ambassador to Finland and Estonia, Dov Segev Steinberg, was very impressed by the support of the Finnish Christians.
Your friendship shows the rest of the world that Israel is not alone. Your friendship.
Remarkable thing was that Helsinki Sanomat, the largest newspaper in Finland, published the next day a very strong article against anti-Semitism that had shown its ugly face in Finland lately. We had planned the Jerusalem prayer breakfast in London again in 2019, but because of the political situation and because of all the turmoil around Brexit, we had to move it to November. And as we had made the decision, setting the date, Boris Johnson called for the elections. So we couldn't have too many parliament members. We had several lords and ladies. But the remarkable thing was that exactly the same time as we gathered to pray just across the street from Westminster Hall, there were Arab leaders from 15 Arab nations declaring that they don't support BDS, the boycott, divestment and sanctions against Israel, and that Arab countries should have direct relations with Israel. Moreover, Boris Johnson cast his vote in these victorious elections for him in the very same hall where we gathered a month before for Jerusalem prayer breakfast in London.